Hello everybody and welcome to a slightly different video here today on Philly Sports Network. The Eagles are going into next week with a full head of steam and the playoffs in reach, which means spirits are naturally a little bit more raised. There's not so much apprehension or anxiety or anger about this team, and instead an odd sense of comfort and confidence, which can only mean good things. But with that in mind, I'm very aware that we're heading towards the end of 2019, so I thought it would be a good time to apply a popular trend on social media to our beloved Philadelphia Eagles. What did some of the Eagles' most prominent players look like 10 years ago? It's hump day, it's Wednesday. I thought it'd be a nice midweek video to make and bring you guys something a little bit different. So if you enjoy it, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. We would love for you to be a part of this community. And if you do want to join our Discord server and be part of our community, there is a link down in the description below. But before we get to the Eagles, okay, I know a lot of you watching this who are subscribed to the channel are going to be like, oh, LJ, well, I bet you didn't look good 10 years ago, isn't it, laughing at players? Listen, I don't look good now, okay, that's the point. But for anyone wondering what baby LJ looked like, there we go. 10 years ago, I would have been 14 years old. I mean, it's not quite 10 years ago. I couldn't find any pictures when I was 14. But as you can see, the haircut is horrible. I was still in school trying to pursue a career in broadcasting, and it almost got there. And had I achieved that, we wouldn't be now doing Philly Sports Network, so kind of happy I didn't. But there you are, there is some vintage LJ for everyone to soak up. And there's even one from me leaving school, which was 2011. So it's as close to 10 years as I can find on my Facebook. Looking back, I can kind of see why I was picked on and why I spent most of my time in the library watching the Eagles. It's only fair, though, that we start with the cream of the crop, the $129 million man, Carson Wentz. Franchise quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles 10 years ago, was studying at Bismarck Century High School and, believe it or not, played quarterback and defensive back. The guy was a tackling machine. He had over 60 tackles to his name, and if you just look at that little bit, I mean, that makes me feel a bit better about the babyface situation. I mean, Carson Wentz now has facial hair. I still can't grow that, but he even played baseball, and look at that. I mean, that is a smolder if I've ever seen it. Carson Wentz was out there just, you know, breaking hearts from an early age. And while we're talking quarterbacks, it's only fair that we look in that same position. Obviously, there's one veteran and there's one younger guy. So let's take a look at Mr. Nate Sudfeld 10 years ago. Now, he took over as the starting quarterback at Modesto Christian High School in 2010. So this year, the year before that started, he did amass over 3,300 yards, 33 touchdowns and 16 picks. But just look at that baby face. Like, I mean, Nate Sudfeld looks like someone you would have round for tea when you're at school. You want him to come over, play Nintendo 64, go out and play football. That's someone your mum would like, and that is a nice kid to hang out with. What a guy. He looks so lovely. He looks like a nice, happy young chap, and there he is. I mean, bless him. You can tell he's just about to hit puberty there. I still haven't had that, so fair play to Nate Sudfeld. But going from one quarterback to another, a veteran here in Josh McCown. This is someone that back in 2009 beat out Matt Moore for the primary backup job of the Panthers, and it wasn't long until he was forced into action against the Philadelphia Eagles, believe it or not, because Jake Delhomme had 5 turnovers to his name. So in went Josh McCown, and he completed 1 of 6 passes before suffering an injury that would sprain both his left foot and his left knee in the same game. He was then sent to IR. That was the end of his season, but little did he know that 10 years later, Josh McCown would be playing for that very team. It's funny how the circle of life works, right? The bodyguard Jason Peters, as we all know, was traded to the Eagles back in 2009. He went on to have a couple of Pro Bowls in the years that followed, but look at how young he looks there. I mean, Jason Peters hasn't really aged much. He still looks like a young man. I rate the fade, though, on that haircut. I mean, fair play to JP, but that was his first season as an Eagle, and now 10 years later, he's still here, kicking and screaming, and for better or worse, they just can't get rid of the bodyguard, a future Hall of Famer in anyone's mind. Jason Kelce, the center at Cincinnati, would have been 22 years old 10 years ago. Started 13 games at left guard for Cincy and earned all Big East honors. And just look at the difference there. I mean, the beard was there from an early age, fair play to him, but this time we're seeing a very different style of headgear. We're not seeing the Super Bowl 52 celebration just yet. Malcolm Jenkins, like Jason Peters, was also in the first year of an important stint of his career, but this was his entire NFL career. He was selected with the 14th overall pick in 2009 by the New Orleans Saints, and that is baby Malcolm Jenkins. 10 years ago, baby Malcolm, before he went to the Philadelphia Eagles, he was balling out for New Orleans, but what a difference 10 years ago. I mean, he still looks as lethal then as he does now, so That should say all you need to know. Lane Johnson would join Oklahoma and go from playing quarterback at high school to tight end to on defense all the way to offensive tackle. But look at how innocent he looks. This is a man that makes Khalil Mack look like a Care Bear. Okay, like, I would not want to get into a scrap with Lane Johnson or meet him down a dark alley, but look at how lovely he looks. Like, bless him. Another man who redshirted during 2009 was Stanford tight end Zach Ertz, and look at baby Zach Ertz there. I mean, he still looks the same, to be honest. He still has the baby face, got a bit of facial hair now, definitely bulked up a little bit. You can tell he's gone through the other side of puberty. Again, I still haven't had that luck yet, but I'm glad he sorted the eyebrows out. That's the one thing there. I mean, that was holding him back a bit. Alshon Jeffrey was catching passes for South Carolina. He had over 700 yards that season, with 6 touchdowns, averaging over 16 yards per reception. Obviously, the season this year hasn't ended anywhere near as successfully. It's ended up on IR, but nonetheless, he looks the same from what we can see. We haven't seen him without a helmet, but he does look very similar, doesn't he, Alshon? Not really much change there. How can we make this video and not include DeSean Jackson, a man that broke out in 2009? The Eagles won 11-5 that year. It was a disappointing playoff run, the start of a very weird transition onward from McNabb. They'd lost Brian Dawkins in the year before, but DeSean Jackson posted a campaign of 1,156 yards, 9 touchdowns, and was an absolute speedster. He was burning corners left, right, and centre. It didn't matter where he lined up, and that cockiness, that swagger that many criticised him for, but a lot of Philly people loved it, that he was bringing that electricity to the offense. That's where that really started back in 2009. How weird does it look seeing Darren Sproles in a Chargers uniform? Most people associate him with the Eagles. A few people obviously still associate him with the New Orleans Saints, but in 2009, the ageless wonder, the little engine that could, was franchise tagged by the LA Chargers. After posting an incredible game in the AFC wildcard round, he had 328 all-purpose yards that game. It was unbelievable. So they signed him to a franchise tag. On 2009, he had close to 500 receiving yards, 343 rushing yards. This was just the start of one of the most incredible NFL careers that a running back has seen. I mean, outside of Frank Gore, someone in terms of longevity, I don't think we've seen another Darren Sproles, and I don't think we ever will, although Christian McCaffrey does exist, so only time will tell. Now, Nigel Bradham back in 2009 was playing football for FSU, and look at the state of this hit here. This is unbelievable. Absolutely floors him. So this is what 2009 Nigel Bradham looked like, an absolute monster. Not much has changed there. He's still as ruthless as ever. He may have calmed down a little bit. He hasn't exactly had the best season this year, but it's hard to really say that this wasn't a ridiculously thunderous play. Let's talk about some DBs. This young man is the Green Goblin Jalen Mills. So this was out of DeSoto High School. How much has changed? I mean, obviously we know he's got green hair and facial hair, but if you take that away, I think Mills has still got a bit of a baby face. You can see that's Jalen Mills. Now, I put on Twitter earlier today that essentially if you guess whoever this was before I put the video out, I think one person got it right. You can get yourself a free PSN t-shirt. So Will, I'll put your name on the screen right now. Give me a message on Twitter. I'll sort you out a free PSN shirt. If you want to be in the running for more giveaways, follow me on Twitter. Alright, at Liam Jenkins PSN. One of my favourite corners, Rasul Douglas. And jeez, look at that swagger. Look at that high school swagger. He looks exactly the same. He looks exactly the same. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed for Rasul Douglas. That's mind-blowing. That is literally the exact same man. Now, Doug Peterson in 2009, for fun, was the offensive quality control coach. He was controlling offensive quality stuff for the Eagles, and that's what he looked like. I mean, not much change there for Dougie P. Fletcher Cox, meanwhile, has bulked out a lot. He is now an absolute man mountain, a behemoth of a human. Back then, still looked pretty dangerous, but there was a little bit of innocence in his eye. I think that has firmly gone and been replaced with a man who just takes whatever woman he wants and stands and defends his house with shotguns. We stand an assertive king. Oh, Jimmer of Schwartzington with the sunglasses flex. I mean, oh, that's a beach bod. Jimmer of Schwartzington. What happened to you? He was the only one that stayed on that Detroit team after 2009. Looked a little bit, he looks a bit younger. There's nowhere near as many wrinkles. That's so old. That's really mean, isn't it? Look at Jimmer. He's elated, bless him. So fair play. And finally, Brandon Graham, he was playing for Michigan at the time, still looks near enough exactly the same. But guys, if you enjoyed this video, if you want to see another one, make sure you leave a like, hit that subscribe button. I thought it'd be something a little bit different. Thank you so much for all of your support. We're going to try and grind out a video every day between now and Christmas. We need your help to do so though, so make sure you stick around and hit that big red subscribe button. From myself, Liam Jenkins, I'll see you soon.